We Wear the Mask by Paul Laurence Dunbar. We wear the mask that grins and lies, that hides our cheek and shades our eyes. This debt we pay with human guile, with torn and bleeded hearts we smile and mouth with mirrored subtleties. Why should the world be overwise in counting all our tears and sighs? No, let them see us while we wear the mask. We smile, but oh great Christ, our cries to thee from tortured souls arise. We sing, but oh the day is vile beneath our feet and long the mile. But let the world dream otherwise. We wear the mask. While all people present different aspects of themselves to navigate the various circumstances of life, African Americans have perfected the art of code switching as a means of physical and social political survival. Thus, when Dunbar states, quote, why should the world be overwise in counting all our tears and sighs, end quote, he is both declaring and justifying the necessity of African Americans not showing their full hand or self to their oppressors whose mission it is to capture and limit all forms of African humanity. Thus, when Prince dons the mask of the time, he is exemplifying Dunbar's mission statement of African people finding a multitude of innovative ways to misdirect their oppressors as their way to embrace and execute our full humanity. The Time is a definite example that we have of Prince exploring and grappling with who he is as an artist. On his early records, Prince deals with introverted subjects in which he muses to himself aloud. With The Time, Prince is externally musing about who he is by recreating himself as an entire band. Even though many know that The Time was primarily founded to pay a musical debt to Morris Day, it is obvious that The Time is the alter ego of Prince, created to hold Prince's R&B audience while he explores other musical genres. The Time drummer Jelly Bean Johnson affirms this when he states, quote, he wanted The Time to be his alter ego, the ultimate R&B band. We was his R&B side. That's what we were. Prince was his, the revolution was his experimental and pop. He wanted to pop because he knew he had to get the crossover crowd, the white people, on his side, and to get that level and get to the next level, end quote. Morris Day, the leader of The Time, further admits that he believes, quote, the whole thing was never meant to be more than a side act, end quote. Where Prince is introverted, abstract, and whimsical, singing about social revolution through sexuality and individuality while waiting on the Armageddon to deliver us all, The Time is extroverted, realistic, and straightforward, singing about being hip and cool and identifying with a particular race of people. Where Prince is indefinable in clothing and music styles, The Time is black. In a period when Prince is attempting to explore all of his possibilities of being a rock star, The Time allows him to stay in touch with his R&B roots, write songs about partying, chasing girls, being cool, and being in love without being trapped in the genre. Unlike the coy, elusive Prince albums, which need time and thought to be fully understood, The Time's first self-titled album, it, quote, stumped, posed, purred. It became a music listener's R&B smash, end quote, because it purposely spoke to the sensibilities of African American people. The creation of The Time represents more of poet Amir Baraka's changing saying, the recontextualization of culture for the sake of survival. Yet The Time is not the average ordinary R&B band of the 80s. They, like Parliament Funkadelic, Earth, Wind and Fire, Maze, and the Ohio Players before them, find a way to move beyond their slapstick stereotypical exterior of being the coolest brothers on the corner and touch other non-physical concerns of their listeners. Their music and songs are able to expand an identity which subverts the stereotypical images that they are playing. Yes, hell yes, this is us at the pool hall, on the corner, at the club. The Time represents the cool-ass hoodlum brothers that white girls fantasize about, black girls are drawn to despite their concerns, and then white boys hate over their own schizophrenic admiration. And yet these men, who are conscious of the world around them, because of this, America is forced to take the time humorously. Or it would have been forced to face the misconceptions about the dimensionality of the black race, especially if it were to accept that Prince is the driving force behind the band. Although the African-American construct of cool is the cousin of European Stoicism, it does not entail the denial of emotions, and it maintains one of Columbia alum's core principles of the blues aesthetic, which is the belief in the great goodness of life. To believe in the great goodness of life is to know that one has a value that cannot be given by man and cannot be taken by man. Thus, the cool that the time represents is the evolution of the attitude or sensibility which grew from the fear of white oppression. Don't walk too loudly. Don't talk too loudly. Don't make white people angry. Don't get too excited to make a scene. Just be cool and everything will be all right. This attitude about being cool, remaining calm in adverse situations for survival, evolves from an imposed condition to a statement about being able to handle stress constructively, which is the ability to remain focused and unnerved in the face of adversity. Being cool has nothing to do with the exterior or the material. It is an internal sense of cool that Prince uses to create both his own ideology and the essence of the time. As Prince once said in an interview, quote, being cool means to being able to hang with yourself. All you have to ask yourself, is there anybody I'm afraid of? Is there anybody, if they walked into the room, I would get unnerved? If the answer is no, then you're cool, end quote. To create this notion of cool in the time, Prince had them watch old tapes of Muhammad Ali as part of their training and preparation. Ali remains the embodiment of cool as the notion of self-actualization and self-determination, particularly for a black power aesthetic. Moreover, Ali is the embodiment of cool in the vein of representing being stylishly hip, avant-garde, and setting the pace or trends in culture. Unfortunately, to make art safe for mass marketability, popular culture tends to make a caricature of the political culture, which is the matrix of the popular culture. As such, without the explicit socio-political matrix, Morris Day, on the surface, becomes a rebel without a cause. His coolness does not have or is not rooted in some social-political defiance. It does not have a social-political statement or meaning as Miles Davis or Ali, and is merely an empty, although entertaining, display of aesthetics on the surface. So then this cool is open to being overly saturated with the negative connotation of cool as represented in Gwendolyn Brooks' poem, We Real Cool. Quote, we real cool, we left school, we lurk late, we strike straight, we sing sin, we think gin, we jazz June, we die soon. The grooves and songs about urban black life become smothered in vanity, permed hair, and female conquest. The time is created to sell records to black people who have been forced, seduced into the tradition of being conservative and safe, purchasing party and love songs rather than message music. This also caters to the sensibilities of whites who are the larger marketplace. However, through action rather than declaration, the time is recognized by African Americans as a celebration of black sensibility and reality. Thus, the band strikes a chord because the songs are well constructed and because, no matter how hidden, they resonate in black tradition of style and flair, in the language and in the music. More than anything, it is the lyrical wittiness of the songs, along with the music, that captures the hearts of African Americans. Signature phrases by Day allow the time to penetrate deeply into the souls of America and present something into which black America could relate. The statement, what time is it, became the first signature of the time. This works on two levels. On the first level, the history of black people is to always be on somebody else's time. Therefore, what little time blacks have for leisure cannot be wasted. African Americans constantly need to know what time is it because the boss man is going to dock us for our time. This is why African Americans tend to be a little bit more direct and harsh when criticizing art and culture. Booing is something that does not bother African Americans because they have little time and less money. So, quote, this shit better be good or you gonna hear about it, end quote. As an aside, even the way we recontextualize the be verb, black people don't recontextualize the be verb because we're unintelligent. We recontextualize the be verb because we ain't got time for all them goddamn tenses. I'm gonna be there when I get there, and that's what time it is. Day's constant concern with time puts the band at the center of African American culture. Furthermore, in American society of time is money, people who want to appear important are always asking, what time is it? Or are constantly checking their watch as if they have somewhere else to be. Day's phrase satirizes this American obsession with time, as well as black America's adoption of this aspect of capitalism, even when African Americans have no capital to which to be concerned. This is more of the blues aesthetic of exaggeration, which is also parody. The slaves, mimicking of the masters, evolves into a general habits of the race and is the most evident in the black politician arriving late and leaving early because he wants to appear to be important, although he ain't gonna do a damn thing for the community. Along with the social satire, the concern with time also acts as comic relief because the audience response today always checking his time is, you know your ass ain't got nowhere else to be. But he is also admired by the community because he thinks enough of himself to demand that you respect him and his time. On the B side of What Time Is It, there's a mock interview between Dave and some overly professional female journalists. Of course, the plot is that Mr. Cool is going to melt her exterior and use her as another conquest. After every question, Dave asks, "What time is it?" Becoming irritated after the third or fourth question, the interviewer snaps, quote, "Why are you so worried about the time?" End quote. Day responds, "'Cause I got somewhere to go." Where, she replies, and Day says, "To the top, Johnny." Even if the interviewer does not think much of Day, he values himself and his time, which is an affirmation of black people and their culture. African Americans appreciate and gravitated to the time because Day is asserting that black people, their culture, they are cool, they are valued, and they are of worth. With the time, Prince is explicitly working in the tradition of black dialect and style. During the interview, Day is signifying through a modified version of Playing the Dozens, which is the exaggeration to promote his music as what is new by showing how other styles are old and obsolete. Even sometimes to our detriment, African Americans have no problem adopting and changing for the sake of survival. This is one reason why African American dialect and style change so quickly. The other reason is because the corporate powers need to sell something continuously. As quickly as African Americans create culture, Madison Avenue co-ops it and then sells the shit right back to us, causing African Americans to create something new for themselves, which again is co-opted. But that is why black music has a perfect partnership with corporate America. It is always changing because black people are always grappling with who they are. Day exemplifies this when he is insulted by the interviewer saying that his music has a funky beat. Quote, "I know you didn't just say funk. Funk is something that you can learn in school, and ain't nothing funky about being," end quote. The truth is that the time was and is a funk band. Recontextualized funk, but funk nonetheless. But this is black music, always recontextualizing the past so that the next generation can hang his hat on its identity. Prince even uses the time to take a swipe at himself, putting more distance between him and the band. After being asked about this style, Day replies, quote, "See, most people were born in a birthday suit. I was born in a zoot suit," end quote. Here, Day is reaching back to stay ahead. He is sampling history to make something new. He continues, quote, wait, let me say something to all the fellas out there. Take off them blue jeans and them new wave clothes and go get you some baggies. It's about freedom, right? Well, stay at the motel with the biggest ballroom, cause ain't nothing like a fresh pair of baggies, end quote. And typical of the call and response of the African American community, another member of the band says, "I know that's right." The comment about new wave clothes, while many think is aimed at Andre Simone, is directly pointed at Prince himself. Controversy and bits of 1999 are heavily influenced by new wave, which grew from punk. Music and culture share a circular relationship. For Day to say take off those new wave clothes is to say take off those new wave ideas and attitudes. The time is being cast as the Prince nemesis, from which a battle of styles and ideologies could allow both to rise to the top. In this, they are the perfect embodiment again of Amir Baraka's The Changing Same. Next, the time is important because Day uses the braggadocious attitudes of Muddy Waters and Bo Diddley to refashion the blues attitude for his persona. It is in the same braggadocious attitude that is inherited by the hip-hop generation. The song Cool is a brag, or what we call in the African-American community, a toast. It is Muddy Waters' Managed Boy and Bo Diddley's Go Bo Diddley combined with the swagger, attitude, self-confidence, and poetics of Muhammad Ali. The attitude has been, of course, mutated and slightly perverted by capitalism because Day spends most of the song discussing the material things that he has and the places that he's been. But the song manages some saving grace by shifting the emphasis from the material to Day's actual essence. We must remember that these songs are written by Prince. And even in a cloaked form, Prince will not allow himself to write something that emphasizes the physical over the material over the metaphysical. Quote, they sings, if you wonder how I do it, it's just one simple rule. I'm just, end quote. This is important because it implies that cool is not about what you have, own, or possess, but about who you are. So anybody, well, almost anybody, can be cool. Day is not cool because he has a lot of things. He has a lot of things as a manifestation of his coolness. The time then has the perfect name because the most valuable thing that one can have is time, not money. Furthermore, cool for all of its materialism ends with a call and response between Day and the band, which mirrors the call and response from the church, which mirrors the call and response from the cafe, in which black people are signifying their own selves through call and response. Quote, band, yo, is anybody hot? No. You know why? Because we're cool. Let's try that again. Band, is anybody hot? No. You know why? Because we're cool. The time could not miss. They represented the hipness and style that embodies black culture, especially those aspects that white folks perceived as authentic. They coined phrases, invented dances, the bird and the walk, chased and conquered women, and funked the night away. They were as raw as the blues, as tight as Miles Davis's bands, as loose and improvisational as Charlie Parker, and contained enough rock to echo Ernie Isley and Jimi Hendrix. The First Time album puts black street attitude, no matter how watered down and muted, into the face of America. Just want to check my time, good. Songs like Cool, Get It Up, and The Stick epitomize this attitude, with Cool being the Times Declaration of Independence. Even songs such as Get It Up and The Stick, which speak of sexual urgency and frustration, manage to escape from being what is considered the standard R&B begging song. With the time, these songs are handled in a manner to show the male keeping sexual urgency and frustration in a minor perspective, as opposed to the many Prince songs on the same topic. The only thing at stake for the time in these songs is an orgasm, not the state of the human condition as in a Prince song. For the time, there is the notion that if the orgasm is not achieved, then, oh well, there's another girl around the corner. Whereas with Prince, not achieving this relationship with the woman is a metaphor for the developing state of the fall of humanity. Yet, the Times' original first album is a smart album with songs such as Girl and After High School. These songs balance the bravado, thus balancing the image of the band. Girl reassures female listeners that Day, the lead singer, is a secure, mature, and honest enough to admit that his life is nothing without the female presence. Quote, I'm having trouble, baby, ever since you went away. I guess I need a little time to get my head together, end quote. And even if quirky and whimsical, After High School makes an honest attempt to show that the guys have issues on their mind other than image, parties, and sex. Quote, hey you, what you gonna do after high school, end quote. The time is a bit more than just the pool-playing hustlers in Brooks's poem, though we are never sure just how much more. This is a part of their mystique. They are black, but an indefinite form of blackness where the bottom gets deeper and deeper the more that you dig. For time, I'll go to my conclusion. Unlike Prince, there's no ambiguity in the dress and the lyrics of the time. They are, for the most part, excluding the one white guy in their hairstyles, traditional black men playing traditional black music with traditional black subjects. Prince's audience of the early and mid-'80s is as ambiguous as he is. Young, punk, funk and roll black and white kids who are, quite possibly, still looking for their own identities. Who was to say that these kids wouldn't grow up and become black nationalists or conservative Republicans, both of whom were quite unreceptive to the music and message of Prince? The middle 80s under the Reagan-Bush administration saw America polarized against itself. Religion, race, and gender walls were redrawn, and there is no place for ambiguity as you see in Prince. You are either with us or against us. In this type of atmosphere, a group like The Time could flourish, and Prince would find it difficult to keep his head above water with the rise of rap, which forces even the most mainstream black pop group to assert a certain amount of blackness in their membership to the card of culture. Before rap, it was quite common to see a white leading lady in a video for a black act. In the majority of black videos prior to 1986-87, black acts were merely mimicking their white counterparts. Rap causes a shift in racial imagery where black acts were found in their more authentic surrounding as opposed to the more integrated scenery of the early black videos. In this type of climate, where artists are asked to be, or demanded to be the show or definite connection to black community, Prince seems like a fish out of water. Though if we're looking closely, he's filled with indices of blackness, it's just that most people were not looking closely enough. Still, in the years following the dismantling of the time, Prince continues to plow ahead with his refusal to draw or accept definable identity. He stays alienated and opinionated enough, quote, in his life according to Prince, end quote, and it affects his record sales, while the time is all but forced to reunite and about as popular now as they were then without a new record or a new hit. Whatever specifics, the Time Project threatens to overtake the master and ultimately ends in an ongoing dispute over the direction and creative input between the creator and creation, but not before Prince is able to add a greater dimensionality, not only to his image, but to the image of African people. Thank you.